I'll make sure I do that for you.
Righto, welcome to those in the gallery, welcome to those streaming online. Our meeting is being held on traditional lands of Gunditj Maro, Tapwal Wrong, Jadwa Jali and the Bundik people. I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and elders from other communities who may be here today. Please note all council meetings will be audio recorded and may be live streamed to council social media platform, with the exception of matters identified as confidential items in the agenda. By participating in open council meetings, individuals consent to the use and disclosure of the information they share at the meeting, including any personal and or sensitive information. Other than an official council recording, no video or audio recording of proceedings of council meetings will be allowed without the permission of council. Item 3, Councillor Campbell to lead us in the meeting in prayer.
Almighty God, grant to this council wisdom, understanding and sincerity of purpose for the good governance of this Shire. Amen.
Item 4, there's no apologies. Item 5, confirmation of minutes. Okay, Roy? The recommendation is that the minutes of the council meeting and the confidential council meeting held on 11 June 2025 to be confirmed as a current record of business transacted. Do I have a mover? Councillor Calvano. Second to Councillor Rainsford. Those in favour? Carried. Item 6, no declaration of interest. Item 7, there's no leave of absence. Item 8, there's no questions on notice. Item 9, there's no public deputations. Item 10, there's no petitions. Item 11, informal meetings of councillors. An informal meeting of councillors record was kept for Audit and Risk Committee 9 May, Audit and Risk Committee 2nd of June, briefing session 4 June, briefing session 11 June. That'll be recorded in the minutes of the meeting. Item 12.1, New Hamilton Gallery Concept Plans Endorsement. Mr CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, the report before you tonight seeks Council's endorsement of the concept plans for the New Hamilton Gallery and provides an overview of the feedback from the public consultation process that we've gone through. Councillors, in introducing this report, I feel it's important to quickly review the work Council has done on this project, specifically the economic, community, social benefits that sit behind this, as well as the civic community engagement that's been undertaken that's brought us to this really exciting position tonight. Hamilton's in the extraordinary position of owning one of the best art collections in Australia, certainly one of the best in regional Australia, built from the extraordinary generosity of our community, which commenced in 1960 with the bequeath from the Shaw family. Yet our building is grossly undersized, meaning we cannot leverage the quality of the collection and the strength of our relationships with an organisation such as the National Gallery of Victoria to draw visitors into our Shire. Indeed, our works are often on loan to other larger galleries, benefiting those communities and not ours. Our Shire's economy is heavily and almost solely reliant on agriculture, something to be proud of, but also Council aims to build tourism as a strong second bow to this in our regional economy to help businesses withstand the inevitable cycles that agriculture experiences, as is happening right now through this really terrible drought. As we showed when we ran a one-off international standard exhibition emerging from darkness in early 2024, which attracted tourists from approximately 590 different postcodes in Australia, tourists seeking an arts culture experience travel further, stay longer and spend more than any other tourism category. This message has been strongly reinforced with data provided by Visit Victoria. During the 3-month period of this exhibition, our motels were full, our restaurants and many retailers had record months. Fortunately, the size and layout of our gallery meant closure for 2 months before this exhibition and 1 month after to install and deinstall, which isn't a sustainable way to run a gallery. As councillors will be aware, there is also profound social, educational, cultural impacts of a gallery, some of which we're seeing right now with the 3,900 odd visitors we've had to our gallery, and many of them children over the last 6 or 7 weeks. Part of the architect's brief, councillors, was to undertake a structural assessment of the existing gallery building, determine if economically we could retain parts or all of the existing building. If this made sense to do so, then we would certainly be recommending, as officers, that those parts of the building be retained. However, the structural assessments conclusively showed the existing gallery building is at the end of its life and the retention of it would be neither feasible nor economical. To name just some of the reports that the architect raised, some of the points the architect raised in their report, there are difficulties in accessing the existing wall fabric to add the necessary thermal insulation, vapour barriers and waterproofing. There are difficulties in assessing and increasing the capacity of the existing footings to allow greater floor loading. No existing services equipment can be retained or refurbished. The main existing gallery's building floor-to-floor heights enshrine a limiting height for the gallery spaces. There is a limited space between the existing columns and the typical gallery areas, limiting room size, artwork size, viewing distances, occupancy rates, etc. The building's thermal fabric has poor thermal performance. The building's external fabric has poor condensation control, and the building has degraded waterproofing barriers. As the report before you highlights, councillors, the accountant's design meets every requirement of a new gallery. The architects have not only considered what is required today, but what will be needed over the next 100 years. The gallery will offer locals and tourists an exceptional experience, whilst also minimising the operational load and cost of running the gallery. The designs are of international standing. Community engagement across the design process has been extensive, to say the least. Putting aside the extensive engagement undertaken over the last 10 years through various design phases, since April 2023 we've undertaken 3 distinct consultation engagement phases. The first was when we developed our tender with the support of Melbourne University. We ran 9 community sessions which had 100 plus community members participate, and through that process we developed the 7 design themes that form part of our tender document that went out as our scope to attract an architect to undertake the work for us. Once we had appointed our architect, we entered a co-design process, and this was really bold thinking by council, and probably the first time that I'm aware of in the sector where our architect actually sat down with our community and with pen and paper in hand and drew up what they were hearing from the community and what the community wanted. I think that's something we should all feel really proud of. In all, 261 community members participated in this process across 21 different sessions, and that concluded all different demographics across our community, including a visit to at least one school or several schools. So that was really important. One of the things, councillors, that really resonated for me, that I think a community member really put beautifully on social media when we published the concept plans was, and if I may just read this to you, I'm absolutely blown away with how much of what was spoken about in the community sessions is included in these designs. Angela and his team have really listened. Now down to the feedback on the concept plans themselves. So this has been the most recent engagement, and this has been done through multiple medias, including social media, where our posts had a reach of 33,000 people. Had views of 33,000 and reach of 12,185. We had a total of 908 visits to our website page that shared the plans and feedback mechanisms, and 253 people downloaded the plans. All up, we received feedback from 252 people. The feedback and the themes and the feedback is detailed for your consideration, councillors, in the report, but the main positive themes were people really echoed how much they loved the design and how it really resonated with them. They really felt it honoured the community connection we were seeking. They felt that this would be a real attractor of tourists. They liked the sculpture garden, the green space that added to a central area, and they admired the fact that we'd undertaken First Nations engagement in the design. The themes that raised questions about the plans, included 17 responses asking about the proposed future of the cinema and where that would be located. There were 14 responses questioning whether this would be an appropriate expenditure of rates. 12 comments about our roads, which was interesting on gallery feedback, but nevertheless, we love feedback. So all that information's there for your consideration, councillors. As officers, and certainly having engaged a lot of our stakeholders, we really do strongly support and recommend the plans to you. I'll probably just close by reminding everyone that the design work that we're undertaking for this, the community hub, which will be our new library and digital hub, as well as the streetscape, are all funded by the federal government's Regional Precinct and Partnership Program. Just as an aside, we met with officers from the Department of Infrastructure in Canberra when we were recently there, and they share our excitement about these projects, which was very pleasing to hear. Councillors, so the report's before you, which we commend.
Mover, Councillor Henry.
I'd like to move that the council endorse the new Hamilton Gallery concept plans.
Seconder, Councillor Manning. Any questions of Mr CEO? Councillor Rainsford.
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, it's been, as somebody that actually lobbied to get the Lonsdale Street buildings purchased, took a while to happen. I'm very supportive of development in our shire, and I'm probably one of the councillors that wants to have the gallery built sooner than later, because I think it'll drive the economy, which is leading into my questions, because I did do a submission, and I would like, I will make my submission public because it's my document, but I actually asked a couple of questions, and one of them that I don't see have been made comments and outlined issues that weren't in the summary. And one of them was the heritage value. I'll just do one at a time. Was there any consideration of the heritage value of the current civic buildings in Brown Street?
Thanks for your question, councillors. So there is a heritage overlay on that precinct, and I believe that would require us to get a permit to demolish the building when we get to that point of time.
Yeah, because it just for community interest, we seem to keep wanting to rebuild on the same site rather than looking at other sites. And the next one is about timing. There wasn't anything that really, the feedback in the summary to actually say what would bring the most economic development and value for the community, which is what we're hoping. The initial issue was to build a new Hamilton Gallery to attract tourists and diverse our economy. Has that been dealt with in all of these submissions?
Thanks, councillor. And you're singing my song in a way, because the economics background, accounting background, and that economic return is really important. And I know last council and this council, the councils have spoken about the importance of growing our tourism as that strong second bow to our local economy. I think, though, our gallery director, who's in the audience here, would never forgive me if I didn't also talk about our triple bottom line approach to all developments, that we also look at social benefits as well as environmental benefits, and that's how we assess all our projects. And I think really going forward, we would have to always be willing to be agile in terms of when and how the money was raised to build these buildings, and might need to pivot in terms of what we do and in what order at what point in time. But at the moment, our timeline is fairly clear, and I think that it's a deliverable timeline.
No, you're right, Councillor Rainsford.
I just had a question pertaining to, one of your comments. How many sites in total over the last 20 years have been looked at to put this gallery, please?
Thank you, councillor. So quite a deep dive was done on the site at the lake initially. Some concept plans, a business case were done, and a costing was done. Then at Lonsdale Street, a similar exercise detailed some spatial analysis that involved some rough drawings and a business case were done, as well as a cost plan. And then subsequent to that, council engaged Denton Corker Marshall, who reviewed 22 different sites around Hamilton as a potential for the gallery, none of which were deemed acceptable for whatever reasons at that time, and then most recently we looked at rebuilding on site, and certainly financially that made a lot of sense.
Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr CEO, just a couple of questions around the money side of things. Could you just give us a rough breakdown of the 70 million figure that's sort of floating around out there at the moment about the funding, etc. And also the potential of $10 million coming from the Shire and how that's going to be managed, how it's going to be funded, and also if there would be a potential that may be less than 10 million if other funding could be adjusted.
Thank you, councillors. So our budget going into this conceptual design phase, we were trying to set the target of around $40 million to build the new gallery. That's been long-term aspiration to try and spend around that amount of money. The plans as they are tonight have come back, and the cost plan is $48 million on those. The architect has given us suggestions as to how we can pull that back through value management, the detailed design, to fit within the 40 million, if that's really important to council. I think really in discussion with our stakeholders and our foundation, we prefer to wait and see what funding we can raise before we start limiting the options within the building. The 70 million is not the cost of the building. The 70 million has been our fundraising target. And one of my favourite sayings that one of my staff used to use, if you want a kitten, ask for a pony. And so we're asking the state government of 20 million, federal government of 10 million. We've asked our very generous and supportive foundation through philanthropy circles to raise 30 million. We would put 10 million in, and I'm hoping that adds up to 70 million. But that's the fundraising target. And if we're very successful in raising all of that, some of that money we would hope would become a future fund to support the operations of the gallery, but we can afford for any one of those to not meet their target or our target and still be able to deliver the gallery, which is why our fundraising target is well above what the cost to construct is planning to be.
Councillor Rainsford.
Thank you. Why are we approving a new Hamilton gallery design, which we don't have Civic Hub funded, designed or contracted, which needs to be built before we can actually start building or demolishing the Brown Street buildings to do the New Hamilton Gallery on this design site?
Yeah, thanks for your question, councillor. So we've received, just for the background, $5 million in funding from the Regional Precinct and Partnership Program to do the detailed designs and make shovel ready the gallery, the community hub, which you refer to, and the streetscape project. We need to get all three projects to a shovel-ready status, that is, having the designs and planning phase completed, so that we can then apply for the grant. So we're doing all three sets of designs pretty well concurrently, and that includes the community hub, which we've already done concept designs for, and we'll move into a detailed design. We are using that federal government grant to do that, which is really positive that the government is, governments don't often give money for design. They tend to tell you that it's your job to design it up, and if we like it, we'll co-fund it with you. But we've been very lucky that they see the merit in our project. They want us to get it shovel ready. When it is shovel ready, which we're hoping will be by mid next year, we can then apply for Stream 2 in the same program, the Regional Precincts and Partnership Program, to fund the construction of these buildings.
Councillor Henry.
Well, actually, my question has been asked, so thank you.
Councillor Campbell.
Yeah. Mr CEO, I just wanted to ask about, if things do progress and we do get down the line in the future, about the demolishing of the current building for the new gallery. Is that, in terms of the information being provided, does it have asbestos in it? Is it something that could run over a lot more than what you're anticipating? Could there be more issues than just a simple demolish?
Thank you, Councillor, for your question. Quite an interesting one, because our architect engaged some environmental specialists to look at the building and look at the surrounds, and there's been nothing highlighted of particular concern, other than that they've noted that once upon a time there were a couple of petrol stations nearby that site, and they've just flagged that soil testing will need to be done to see if petroleum at any stage has contaminated the soils. But I understand that one of those petrol stations was on Thompson Street, so there's a fair distance away, so personally I'd be surprised if there was any contaminants there, but that was called out in one of the specialist reports.
Councillor Barber.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This might be for Director Barber, a bit of a budget one, or Mr. CEO. So with the $10 million that the Shire will put in, is that going to be a loan, or is that in the long-term financial plan, and how is that going to be spread across the term of years, for example?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. And sorry, you did ask that before, and I neglected to answer it. So the $10 million will be raised through a loan, and one of the ethics that Council has is that any borrowings we raise, we like to repay within 10 years, and that way we're not burdening future councils with debt, as is what's happened around some councils in Victoria. So our long-term financial plan has made allowances for our contribution to all the projects we're mentioning tonight, the gallery, the community hub and the streetscape, and largely has that debt repaid by year 10 in our long-term financial plan.
Thank you.
Councillor Henry.
Just for the benefit of the gallery and those online, could you detail, please, some of the previous projects that Candelipus and Associates have worked on or are currently about to work on, please?
Yeah, thank you. We're really privileged to have an architect who is really, really passionate about our town. And I mentioned earlier on, councillors, that we had 21 community engagements meetings during the co-design phase, and Angelo Candelipus, our architect, was actually only contracted to do 5. But it was so important to him to get that right and make sure he understood the message from our community that he just kept coming back and doing more, which is a real credit to him. Probably of the most significance at the moment is that Angelo's firm is the lead architect for the National Gallery of Victoria structure. So it certainly humbles what we're doing quite significantly. It's about an $800 million extension to the National Gallery of Victoria, and Angelo Candelipus and Associates won an international competition to design that gallery. There's other projects that Angelo has developed, and what I've noticed about his work as a trademark is gets involved in projects that he's really passionate about. So you've got extremes like the National Gallery of Victoria, which would be one of the most expensive builds in Australia, and then you see that he's working on something that might only be a few $100,000 or maybe sub $1 million, because he thought it was really important that that is done really well to honour the building or honour the community group doing it. So there is an extensive list of galleries he's worked on, including the National Gallery of Australia, and Councillor Rainsford, Councillor Manning, myself and Director Scanlon paid a visit there last week before last. We were in Canberra, and it was really interesting. Already we've learned enough about Angelo Candelipus that the minute we walked into the original section of the gallery, we could actually see that that work was influenced by him. And we had a great anecdote, if I share it, from the gallery director who was giving us the tour, that he is so passionate about the gallery that one day she was walking along, she found him up a ladder just adjusting a light that was just a millimetre not pointing in the right direction. So internationally regarded for his museum and gallery work, and yeah, we're really thrilled to have him on board.
Thank you.
Councillor Rainsford.
Yeah, good. Just check what could the The report says that the condition of the current gallery and library was the end of life, and I saw that in the context of doing an upgrade for a gallery, which I could accept. But could not the existing gallery space be a community gallery space or children's play area? It isn't necessarily at the end of its life now for the current use, because we've actually had some reports which are confidential that actually says that it's certainly not going to withstand a really upgrade in 5 metres and lots of heavy equipment, but could it not be used for something else if we find that we're not going to get all these shovel-ready projects ready by the time that we have to get this $7 million of funding? We have 2 years to 2027 to actually expend that, even though we've got deadlines before then. That there is time to actually use this money for design if we don't get the funding for the civic hub.
Yeah, no, good question, Councillor. Thanks for asking it. I think probably a couple of things I'd say. Buildings, as well as reaching the end of their life, and Director Scanlon's probably better qualified to talk about this than I, but in the 1960s, buildings weren't built to last any more than sort of 50 or 60 years, and that's what's been universally found around Australia. Our gallery building, I think, was built in 61 or something like that. And it's clearly at the end of life. So could you keep using it? Yeah, you can keep using it, but it will continue to leak. It'll continue to cost a lot of money to run because of the thermal dynamics of that building. It's just reached a point where technically it's at the end of its life. You wouldn't invest money in it to repurpose it for anything else. So, for example, to use it as a library, libraries in this day and age are a lot more than about books and bookshelves. They're about connection, community connection, they're about community education, they're about socialising, they're about learning, they're about development. You would need to fit it out so that it supported that, and the building's just not worthy of that level of investment. And I think, that's all about whatever you do with it's got to be fit for purpose. So I think that work's been done quite well to analyse that by our architect. He knew going into the work that we really want to save the building if we could, just to save money, but his advice has been pretty conclusive on that front.
Yeah, Councillor Campbell.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask Tony, Mr. CEO, the $10 million that if things do work out, are you pretty confident, and I know a lot of people watching at home think that government agencies, when you think about money, it's like a grain of sand. Are you pretty confident that that's all you want to put in, or that's all we will be putting in as a council?
Thank you. Well, ultimately that's a decision by the councillors, not me. I think that was what we recommended to council initially, because we felt that would be the right amount of money to attract other investment into the project from state and federal government. And I think you've really got to be disciplined and cap your project at a price. So, I think it'd be fair to say that there's people in our community that don't think a gallery is a good investment. We think it does because of its ability to attract investors. We think it is because of the social and educational benefits it provides. But at the same time, you've just got to be disciplined and capped. And we've been very clear with our stakeholders that if with inflation and the way construction costs are growing, that if the building's going to cost more than what we planned, we're putting in $10 million and that's it. And it will need to be pared back to meet that requirement if need be.
Councillor Manning.
Question has been answered.
I'd just like
Councillor
to move an amendment that the council endorse the New Hamilton Gallery concept plan subject to securing funding for both the Civic Hub and New Hamilton Gallery.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Henry, to speak to the motion.
Oh, thank you. I want to endorse the New Hamilton Gallery by speaking about three things. Firstly, incredible opportunity that has been put before us. Secondly, the exceptional benefit that the New Hamilton Gallery will have for our community. And thirdly, the significant community support for this project. There are moments in life when all the ducks line up, so to speak. Not because of luck, but because of the hard work and shared vision between dedicated groups of people. Right now, we have one of the most globally celebrated architects working on this project. Angelo Candelipis and Associates is a firm designing an $800 million MGV. He has undertaken already significant community consultation in his design process, and his concept design reflects our art collection, our landscape, our heritage, and our vision for the future. We have a partnership with Melbourne University that shares knowledge and efficiencies about environmental builds, and it gives us oversight into the project. We have a significant relationship with the NGV. Our New Hamilton Gallery Foundation has a membership that is probably the envy of every other council in Australia, and they're committed to raising funds and have a track record of integrity in the projects that they commit to. We have an art collection that is renowned. Our art gallery has proven that economic viability in the recent exhibitions, but has also proven that those large-scale exhibitions are unsustainable in the gallery's current form. We cannot have a $30 million painting walking in the front door. We have a government grant that is funding this design. That is so unheard of. This is a risk-free design in that I can't think of any other project that we have ever done where the design has been funded. We have a beautiful PAC next door that's been incorporated into the design. We have a growing art tourism market. And we have a community and community groups that are committed to this project. And they contact us, and they show their support, and they contribute their opinions and feedbacks. Mostly with their full names, I might add, not hiding behind Facebook. They use the democratic and mature means, not spouting misinformation on social media. And yes, I know that times are tough here in Southwest Victoria. I know this because I run an ag-based business. I know this because I discuss rain and feed and market prices with my students on a daily basis as a teacher. And I know because I grew up on a farm and I married into a farming family. But this is why we have to diversify. Art tourists are the highest spending demographic of tourists. Our current art gallery lends out items from our collection that see tourists go to other galleries. A new gallery would mean that tourists would come here. Our art gallery cannot host major exhibitions in its current form, but a new art gallery can seek to host crowd drawers such as the Archibald. Finally, in my opinion, there has been significant community consultation.
10 seconds.
It is my firm belief that there is significant community support for this project. Southern Grampians Shire needs and deserves investment. Too long have we paused and ummed and ahed and not backed ourselves. I endorse the New Hamilton Gallery concept plans to my colleagues. It is the next step in creating a better future for our Shire. Thank you.
Further speaker for Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, well said, Councillor Henry, that was fantastic. And my background in town, I suppose, is very much hospitality and tourism based. And one of the things I've always loved about our area is being able to diversify and get tourists to come and explore what we have to offer. And having a new build like the gallery is something that will bring further tourism dollar. And it would be the hope that they stay in our town and explore further, go out to the volcanic plains and go to the Grampians and go and see fantastic dairy farms and things like that. And I think it's been a long process to get to where we are now, and being a new councillor, it's been a lot of reading and sort of investigating into what happened in the past. And I think we're at the point now where we've got the funding to go ahead with the design, to get it shovel ready, so we can then go for the next lot of funding. And I think it'd be fantastic for the town, and it could be a turning point that could make Hamilton increase in population and definitely increase as a tourist destination.
Speaking against, Councillor Councillor Calvano.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Me and fellow councillors. Right now, the proposal is estimated to cost our ratepayers of this Shire millions of fundraising dollars, and no funding has been secured to date. Not from governments or philanthropy. Word. Before any of it can go ahead, the community hub needs to be built in Lonsdale Street. That means borrowing and more financial risk for this council that we represent. We need to be careful. We also needed to admit that consultation so far hasn't been good enough. Most of the feedback that I've received coming from ratepayers that are against the $10 million long-term financial plan. They don't want to invest $10 million. Where? I don't know. This is real community conversation. A lot of people didn't know about the full costs or other options of the art gallery. And holding sessions inside the gallery may have stopped some people from attending that night, wherever it might be. If this project is going to move forward in the right way, the wider community needs to be properly included. I mean, we've got a population of $16,000 in this Shire, with only 200 plus representatives in the Shire. Something's got to be done. This is just not just the end product, but generally involved in the process. Those people must be involved. The community must be involved in the process. This gives us room for that. It protects council's position and puts responsibility where it belongs. Sorry, Councillor.
So where's the responsibility belong?
Well, it belongs with the council, with the community.
Councillor Henry, I'll just allow Councillor Calvano to continue.
Yeah. I've been elected by this community to be transparent, and I will not support the proposal until thorough community consultation has been held. And also, the present gallery has got an overlay on it. We've got to deal with that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Speaking for Councillor Campbell.
I rise in strong support of this motion. Supporting the next phase to provide us with a detailed design of the Hamilton Art Gallery, I believe this is a generational opportunity, not just for Hamilton, but for our entire region. I look at this and I see Hamilton, a community looking for more. We're relying on agriculture and always will be. We have world-class education, a hospital that we all understand needs more backing from government above. And then we've got sheep pension that is fantastic and continues to bring many to this great town. Council was proposing a project that has been on the cards for 12 years or more with a value of $70 million. It's underpinned by a remarkable and balanced funding model. 30 million from government, 30 million from philanthropy and 10 million from council. By progressing with this motion forward allows council to get a full detailed design of the gallery, and this will allow council to then lobby government for the funds. I fully acknowledge that some members of the community have voiced concerns about the scale of the investment, the portion contributed by ratepayers, and about future operational costs. These are legitimate concerns, and as councillors we have a responsibility to hear them, address them transparently and plan accordingly. To that end, I want to emphasise we're not rushing into this blindly. We are committed to developing a robust operational model that ensures the gallery remains financially sustainable into the future. I know council will continue to engage the community, even though people say we don't, every step of the way and provide clear information about costing and timelines. Reality is the benefits are real. Economically, this project is a catalyst. Cultural tourism is growing. When a modern national significant gallery, Hamilton will attract visitors from across Victoria and beyond. This isn't just about art. It's about jobs. It's about hospitality. It's about local businesses. And it's about creating a cultural anchor that lifts the entire southern Grampians region. The new gallery will actually allow us to properly house and showcase one of the most important regional art collections in Australia right here in Hamilton. It's something that we all should be proud of. Personally, I'm just a farmer who was always trying to progress within my industry, looking at ways of having better genetics, growing grass, and to keep progressing forward, eyes on the day-to-day, but also into the future. The art gallery is a bold, ambitious plan. I believe this is necessary to proceed if we want Hamilton and the southern Grampians Shire to grow, prosper, and to become a destination. Thank you.
farmer with a nice jacket. Speaking against Councillor Rainsford.
It's a goodie, isn't it? Yeah, we're actually all supportive of economic development and the gallery. It's just about what's where. We need this economic activity really sooner than later, which is why I have lobbied to look at the alternative site, which hasn't been considered. Well, you inherit dollars or property, or you inherit problems on council, and you've got to work with what you've got. And I do respect all the councillors coming on board and the previous councillors with their position on this. And I have not had much of an opportunity to make public comment about it, and I did it during the consultation phase for the design. And I think that was necessary, that we needed to have everything out there on the table. And in reference to insane, you can actually talk about insane being an amazing amount of money, and that's in the concept that we're going to spend an amazing amount of money to replace some facilities that we already have. I will continue to be positive about the gallery project, but I want us to now work. This is all going to wait to see what happens. We now need to work on our economic development right across the Shire. Every little project that can bring more visitors, whether it's dump sites, caravan parks. We can't sit and wait for this gallery to happen. We're going to be waiting for funding. We've now got a period of bit uncertainty, but we need to go and look at every opportunity we have to economic development, looking at all those potentials to improve your profitability and not just wait, because I do think the New Hamilton Gallery will do the job. I think we've limited this amazing architect to one model, and I think if he'd come on board earlier, he would have looked at the sites and thought, God, looking out across the Melville Oval, open space, absolutely amazing. Put the power poles underground. That's all going to have to be done eventually, and probably at council's cost. So I do think we've compromised it a bit, but let's see what happens. Let's see what we can get, and I'm sure that what is built will be amazing. But I just want to see more activity sooner, and that's what we've been looking at for. I look forward to the future, and I hope that in future we do make all of our budgets public. We had a wonderful process of getting community input early on, but we missed out on doing that final process where we could have had other people engaging in this. And it's about active engagement, and it's not about just hearing the positive voices. It's about hearing the issues and dealing with them, and then going back and saying, this is what we're trying to do, and market it, and not be worried about criticism. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this project come to fruition. I hope that we get some certainty in the next 12 months. Our last budget 12 months ago was all based on, I finished 3 minutes.
Thank you.
I time myself now. I got 3 minutes uninterrupted.
Councillor Manning, speaking for.
So this motion is to endorse the concept plans for the new Hamilton Gallery, not to decide if we will build a gallery, not to decide which site to build a gallery on. These decisions have already been made. I think the designs are amazing, and I congratulate the architects and the gallery team for delivering them. These concept designs are the product of experts and the community coming together, and I'll repeat some of the things our CEO said before, because it's important to repeat them. First, there were 9 sessions involving both community and experts from the University of Melbourne to develop the project brief. More than 100 community members contributed. Secondly, there were 21 co-design sessions involving both the community and the appointed architects. 261 community members contributed. Thirdly, there were 2 weeks to provide feedback on the concept designs. 252 community members took this opportunity to contribute. 75% of that feedback was positive, 25% was negative. I note that there was strong sentiment to keep the cinema, and I fully support that. Altogether, that's over 500 contributions from community members. As of lunchtime today, an online petition run by an anonymous person dressed in a gorilla costume had gathered over 700 signatures requesting that council pause the gallery project due to lack of community consultation. What does this tell us? that there are a large number of concerned residents who feel that they haven't been heard and whose preferred option of contribution is a fast reply online after watching an AI-generated film clip of Hamo the gorilla. But these voices are important, and our challenge as a council is to better capture these voices in a more meaningful way. How can we get people to engage more? This is a challenge I'm committed to addressing over the next 3 years. Even I might put a gorilla suit on if that helps. But tonight we're at a point where we're weighing up the contributions from community members who have put in significant time and energy over several years to help shape the new gallery, and those who have signed an online petition. Both groups deserve to be heard, but I don't believe it's fair to give them the same weight, especially when one group has taken their facts from a source outside of the council. Particularly concerning is the common misinterpretation of what pausing or cancelling the project would entail and how the project is funded. Should we pause or cancel this project, we would need to repay the money already spent on designs of 3 intergenerational projects: the gallery, the streetscape and the community hub. This would significantly jeopardise further government funding for these projects. This is our library, our digital hub, our gallery, our streetscape. The budget for the architects was $40 million. The cost plans associated with these concept designs are $48 million. Our fundraising target is $70 million. We've heard a number of times this is $30 million from philanthropic funds, $30 million through government funding, which we are well placed to get given our Stream 1 RPPP $5 million design grant.
Close to time, Councillor.
Can I apply for a extension?
I'll second it.
Thank
You
you.
need to vote.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Seconded by Councillor Rainsford. We go to a vote. Those in favour? Carried.
Thank you. 10 million of borrowed, The council will contribute a maximum of $10 million. This is $10 million of borrowed funds, not ratepayer funds. Yes, the interest payments will come out of the council budget, which includes rates. But to say the rates are directly funding the art gallery is wrong. Yes, $10 million is a lot of money. No one is taking that lightly. There is a repayment plan outlined in the long-term financial plan, and the debt is planned to be repaid in 10 years, as we've heard. Borrowing money comes with risk, but we can't only think about the risk. We need to remember why we're taking the risk. It's to build something amazing for the Shire that will increase visitation, stimulate our economy and provide opportunities for our community. I look at these concept plans and I think opportunity. This council is not here to kick any cans down the road. We're here to get good things done for our community. And the gallery is one of those good things. So I support these concept plans and I look forward to progress.
Councillor Henry to close.
Thank you. Right now, to endorse the concept plans, we have very low risk. These are plans that have been funded by a grant. But to pause these plans actually entails quite significant risk, in that we would risk the grant to not only this project, but the other 2 capital projects that are game changers for our region. We would also risk the availability of an architect. We would also risk the confidence of our community. We would also risk the enthusiasm of our foundation and fundraising entities. So, this is an extraordinary opportunity. I cannot begin to tell you how exciting this is and what I see as we're at a precipice for Hamilton, in that this is one of 3 projects that will have a major impact for generations to come. And I can't wait to talk about the hub, but I don't have time. I endorse Councillor Manning's comments in that, yes, I have read all the Facebook comments, but I can heartily tell you that that does not reflect the majority of the community. I have had just as many people, no, more people, ring me and email me and stop me in the street and say, this is a project that Hamilton desperately needs. And so I heartily endorse this, these concept plans to my colleagues, and I can't wait to get on with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Go to the vote. Those in favour? Those against?
Can I have a division, Mr Mayor, please?
Pass 4 and 3 times and then pass
Those for and against.
Yeah, so just call for the vote for.
Yep.
Yeah, so those in favour? Councillor Barber, Councillor Henry, Councillor Campbell, Councillor Manning. Those and those against? Councillor Rainsford,
Does the mayor vote?
Councillor Calvano.
Doesn't need to, does it?
Doesn't need to.
Carried. Item 12.2, fee variation for CBD revitalisation, updated concept plan, Acting Director Mill.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, before you, you have a report. The purpose of this report is to seek council approval for the cost variation received from the project consultants, Group GSA, for the change of scope and timing for the design works on the Hamilton Central Business District Revitalisation Project, as well as an additional $25,000 in contingency for the design stages of the project, which is within existing project budget. This is in response to the alternative recommendation and resolution council made at its April meeting. The recommendation is before you for your consideration.
Have a mover, Councillor Manning. Just read.
Oh, right. I move that Council 1 adopt the fee variation of $62,800 excluding GST to Group GSA Proprietary Limited for contract 068/23 Hamilton Central Business District Revitalisation, and 2, approve a contingency fund of $25,000 excluding GST.
Seconder. Councillor Barber. Questions of Acting Director Mill? Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Director Mill, just a clarification, the $87,800 that you're seeking to get endorsed this evening, could you just clarify that this additional money is not actually coming from the ratepayers themselves, that it's actually an adjustment in the increase of the grant funding that was originally put forward, that it's not actually going to cost the ratepayer any further?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, just confirming that that funding, the grant that we have received, the Regional Projects and Precinct Program, will cover this variation and the increase in contingency asked for in this report.
Thank you.
Councillor Henry.
Director, could you please just detail the motion that this pertains to, or the point in the motion that this pertains to, that we're seeking extra funding for, please?
So this is for the additional work that has arisen out of the recommendation from the April meeting. It is around the architect to provide options on showing the retention of all the trees and the removal of the most problematic trees, including the species and the size, the growth rates and maintenance considerations, as well as to establish a project advisory group, which is representative of business and community, and councillors and council officers.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Manning, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yep. So, councillors, listen to the community with their feedback about the Hamilton CBD streetscape. We asked in that motion for more work to be undertaken by Group GSA to provide alternative designs that include the plane trees. The good news is that while we're approving a fee variation to this contract, the additional funds are already available within the current project budget, which is federal funding through the RPP grant. I recommend that we vote for this.
Speaking for, Councillor Calvano.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Fellow councillors, now that the project has been delayed for 12 months, and also an additional cost of an arborist to provide us with advice, there are trees that are currently problematic, and there are trees that will be problematic in the future. That suggests to me, as a councillor, that they're all problematic. Let's move forward and replace the problematic trees in the CBD. I'm more concerned about the elderly people and the CBD business owners. Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, councillors.
Speaking against, Councillor Rainsford.
Yes, doing nothing is not an option, never was, and we've found out that sometimes awarding consultancies for projects means that nothing happens for a while. So here we are now. I don't support spending more money to a contractor that should have done their job initially by examining all the relevant reports. It's pretty standard to go and look at all the relevant reports to do with the project, all of the CBD master plans that were there, the 2020 adopted master plan, which did not include removing all of the plane trees from the CBD. 6 months was spent on this project with an inaccurate assumption that was reflected in the statement, the report by Group SA, that council had made a decision to replace all the plane trees in the CBD with alternative species. So 6 months down the track, we get the report, we alert that that wasn't where we were at. Councillors and old councillors, new councillors had nothing to do with the project management of this until we got the report, and they should have looked at that. And that money, to say it's not ours, it's taxpayers' money, and every dollar we get, we've never got 5.1 million before in the 20 years that I've been here on council for any project, and it's all going in consultancies and architects, which might be wonderful and you might need to do it, but from what I gather, it's actually that funding could have actually done something, could have actually, built something or flattened a few streets, and it's all going in consultancies, and we're rewarding a contractor that should have looked at this, and they should have been alerted to, and they should have had their own arborists looking at things. So I just don't see that we're getting good enough value. I'm glad that we've got a working group going. I'm looking forward to Councillor Barber doing a great job on that. I'm looking forward to the community still being very engaged in what's going on with our streetscape, but giving some more money to do this is not, and it's not going to, still not going to build or fix anything. It'll have another plan, and I'm glad that since we had that big session, that some of the things have been done, and they should continue to be done. There shouldn't be one spot where you'd be falling over or tripping or having too many leaves on the street, because we should be cleaning the streets and doing the maintenance and not waiting till we have another plan and we have another contract being let. We've got to do our maintenance. That's the message that I'm hearing loud and clear. Thank you.
Councillor Campbell, speaking for.
Yeah, I'm speaking for. I just probably need us all to go back to April, where it was quite a contentious debate, where we had a lot of people here in the gallery, and we could have made a decision on whether to get rid of all the trees or to keep the trees. We, as council, voted democratically to make a decision to get more information and to look at maybe at getting rid of problematic trees. Obviously, we've been told through the question from Afton Barber to Acting Director Susan that it will be within the funding. And in order to find out these answers to the questions, it's not going to be free. That is the reality. So in order to move forward from our motion of find the problematic trees, maybe we pull some out, maybe we plant some new ones, we have to progress in such way. Otherwise, we might have made a decision in April to say trees are all gone or trees are staying. But the reality is we made that motion and we're acting on it. So I am for this motion.
Further against? Speaking for, Councillor Henry.
Yes, please. I think I do concur with Councillor Rainsford in that I am really cross at this architect that they didn't give us another option. I thought it was really poor form that they made an assumption that we did not want our magnificent trees. But the positive here is that the community spoke and we listened and we crafted a motion that sought to encompass what was the best way forward. And I just want to go back to that motion because I think it's really important. We said that council received the CBD revitalisation package, and yes, we're going back and we're paying another $62K to have it recrafted in a way that we want. We requested the architect provide options to show the retention of all the most problematic plane trees, but also to include a strategy for the removal of the problematic trees and proposed replacement species with detail on size, growth rate and maintenance considerations. We also sought to establish a project advisory group that would seek to protect businesses from interruptions and to inform council. We asked officers to prepare a project management strategy to ensure minimal impact on business and continual access. We also asked for a maintenance strategy for the CBD plane trees that included replacement intention over the next 50 years. And I think this is a really important point in that we probably will find that these trees will be problematic, most of them eventually. However, we don't need to do this in a very short period of time. We can seek to do this systematically and elegantly and follow some of our other shires that are doing a very similar thing. We have concept plans for packages 2 and 3 because this is a staged approach because we're trying to be very sensible about it. And that also includes retaining existing plane trees but having a plan for them. It prioritises maintenance, and we've already seen the maintenance in the main street. We've seen replacement of planter boxes. We've seen increased street sweeping. We've seen repairs of brick paving. And now we have 62,000, which actually I thought was pretty cheap, to have a significant report on the trees in that stage 1 so that we can best move forward on what again is a very important intergenerational game-changing project.
Any further for? Councillor Manning, anything to close?
Yeah, just to say that I agree, I would have liked the plane trees to be in the first concept design, but they weren't. I don't want to spend any more money than is necessary, but this is necessary to act on the motion that we voted for, which I think was a great motion, and for all the reasons outlined by Councillor Henry. Will really give us a better plan for the CBD going forward into stage 1, 2 and 3. So I support this.
Councillor Barber, anything to close?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, look, I fully agree with all the councillors have said. I think it was a fairly big oversight that that they didn't consider the retention of some of the plane trees in the first design. And this is what we've amended, and this is what the adjustment in the figures is, of course. I think it's great that we're moving forward, and this is moving forward, and we certainly want this to be done correctly, and we want all the tools in place to make sure this is smooth and well constructed CBD with limited disruption to businesses especially. I think spending the extra money is smart to make sure we get the design that suits.
Go to the vote. Those in favour? Those against? Carried. Item 12.3, procurement policy exemption, library service level agreement. Mr CEO.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, this report seeks an exemption from procurement processes in accordance with Appendix 4, Number 2 of the procurement policy for the provision of library services via a service level agreement with the City of Ballarat for the period of 2025 to 2030. Councillors, as you know, our library is very loved by our community with approximately 68,000 visits a year. So the Grampians Council has an existing service level agreement in place for the provision of library services. That's been in place since 2020 and expires this year. This is one of a number of service level agreements the Council has had since first joining the Central Highlands Libraries Group in 2011. Previously, under the Local Government Act 1989, the Minister for Local Government had the capacity to approve certain procurements negating the requirements of Section 168, which was to seek public tenders over a certain threshold. But the current Local Government Act put forward in 2020, this provision has been removed, and exemptions to procurement policy must be sought under Council's existing procurement policy. The legal mechanism for this collaborative service is a bilateral shared service agreement that is executed between the City of Ballarat and the various councils that are within the group. The service level agreement prescribes governance and management processes, responsibilities of members, along with financial arrangements where costs are attributed on a fee-for-service basis. Specific services provided through this shared service model include, but are not limited to, a shared library management system, collections, administration and technical services. Councillors, the report details what the benefits of this service agreement are, and I think they're quite extensive. The report also details how we believe this service level agreement provides good value for our community. Probably one thing I would highlight, just to bring the items about shared collection that the report refers to life. Every week, and that's every week, our library staff unpack about 15 boxes which usually contain about 300 books that come in from Ballarat Library that our community has requested that they want to borrow. So that is an example of the extraordinary access that belonging to such a large group gives to our community. Separating from this group would incur significant costs for council regardless of whatever new operating model we determine. These costs would include the stock take, rebalancing, recataloguing, rebranding at 20,000 odd collection items, as well as administrative expenses, establishing a new website, a new app, membership card system, just to name some of the potential costs. Council's report for procurement exemptions before you, and it's strongly endorsed by the officers.
Is there a mover? Councillor Calvano.
I'll move it, Mr Mayor.
Move it as read. Councillor.
Well, I'm not going to read it, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, so as read.
As written.
Yeah, second to Councillor Rainsford. Any questions, Mr CEO? Councillor Henry.
Mr. CEO, could you just detail for me some of the stats on our visitation and usage of the library, if you have those in your head?
I'll give it a go, Councillor, and thank you for the question, because it is a real pride point for our organisation. So we have approximately, there's a very strong alignment between borrowings and visitation. So we have generally about 68,000 borrowings a year and about 68,000 people visit our library. Out of interest, that number on a per capita basis is 35% above the state average. So it really shows what an extraordinary job our library team do. I would say that every person that walks into that library feels embraced and feels very welcome. That's the way they work there. They also run extensive holiday programs to support young people in our community. These are always sold out and sold out rapidly. Today, we would have had, and I'm only guessing, Councillor, but I did go and just mosey around children who were in, could not fit this one, it was so big in the library, it was upstairs in the Performing Arts Centre, but I'm guessing that there would have been 50 plus children there with grandparents or parents making dragon eyes, and the dragon eyes were because they were going from working with sculpture clay straight into the movie called How to Train Your Dragon. Thank you. Yesterday we had an equal size group in working with coding and robotics. So the library team and our community engagement team do an extraordinary job of really building a program during the holidays that that target a broad range of children, what their interests are.
Thank you.
Councillor Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr CEO, just a query. So this library agreement that we've got in front of us at the moment, compared to other agreements around the state, would you say that this is actually saving money for our Shire?
Thank you. Yes, I think it's doing two things for us, Council. I think it's saving us money, and certainly the cost of replacing this and going alone would be quite an expensive process. There are similar priced library groups, but they're much smaller groups with much smaller collection. So that ability for our community to access the larger collection that our group has through the City of Ballarat, I think is a huge benefit and one that we should really value. So yes, I believe it presents great value and is a really good way for us to do it economically.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Calvano, you wish to speak to the motion?
Yes, I admire the CEO because my wife and granddaughter and daughter hang around the library all the time. They speak highly of it. They're always made welcome. And the CEO covered it all, Mr Mayor. I want to congratulate the library staff. I reckon they're doing a great job and they love it. And so does my daughter and my wife and my grandchildren. So that's about it.
Councillor Rainsford speaking for.
Yeah, we've made some good decisions over the years to network with other areas. There's been lots of different reports and configurations, and there's no doubt that library services has always been one of the most important things that council delivers. So, good move, good work. Thank you.
No speaking against. Further speaking for. Councillor Manning.
I support this. The existing agreement has been working well for 14 years. Access to 330,000 items. Changing to a self-managed system would involve a lot of labour and admin. Our library coordinator thinks this is the best deal, and as we've heard, our library team are doing a really great job, so let's give them the best collection to work with. Great stats, very happy for this to go ahead.
Any further? Councillor Calvano, anything to close?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor. I think our CEO said it all. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Rainsford, anything to close? Go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.4, confidential information policy. Director Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, the purpose of this report is to seek council resolution to adopt an updated confidential information policy. The policy has been reviewed and amended to reflect the changes to the Local Government Act 2020. The policy aims to provide guidance regarding protecting council information which is provided to councillors to assist them in performing their role, whilst also managing information securely prior to a council decision made on a matter. The Confidential Information Policy was first adopted by Council on the 8th of September 2010, with subsequent reviews taking place in 2012, 2014, 2020 and 24. The policy has been updated to provide a more comprehensive overview of Council's legislative responsibility in accordance with the Act. Councillors, the main changes include further definitions provided as per changes to the Act. Reference to the special committees has been removed. These do not exist under the current Act. General provision section has been updated to provide specific guidance around confidential information, council obligations under the Model Councillor Code of Conduct, public transparency principles, public interest of council briefings. Includes reference to public transparency principles and the importance of balancing these principles with public interest and confidentiality. Includes new confidential information provisions under Section 125 of the Local Government Act. Provides specific information regarding why material delivered to council briefings is confidential in nature. Provides information regarding council's obligation under the Privacy and Data Protection Act 2014 and the Health Records Act 2001, and provides definitions regarding internal working documents and the importance of considering these from freedom of information perspective. Councillors, the recommendation is before you for your consideration.
Is there a mover? Councillor Campbell. Councillor Campbell, just to read the recommendation.
Yeah, that council adopt the confidential information policy, rescind the previous version of the policy.
Seconder, Councillor Henry. Any questions of Director Barber? Councillor Rainsford.
Yeah, thanks very much. My question, which I have flagged in discussions, is that how do we, it's good reports that come to briefings before we make decisions, because we don't make decisions in briefings, we make them in public council meetings. But sometimes when we're dealing with community assets, the community would, if we want to engage and reflect transparency and have trust in council, we need to give them a little bit of information. So my question is, where does that fit? That we can have a condition report of a swimming pool or a condition report of a building that can be shared with the community, so we can, when can we determine which documents and when they're shared for the purpose of improving our community engagement. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, for your question. An interesting question. And look, generally, when we brief council with confidential information, that confidential information only stays confidential until such time we come into the chamber to make the decision. And quite often, the documents that are attached to that decision to give the clarity that council needs to be able to make an informed decision are then released as part of that decision-making process. But sometimes it's not within the community interest that we do release information and it will stay confidential. But in the whole, the information that is given in a briefing session will inform the report that is put in front of council for their decision.
Councillor Calvano.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm just asking the question, I don't know if you're allowed to answer. Has anyone broken the confidential policy since 2010? I don't know if you're allowed to answer it.
Council, it's probably not an appropriate question for council, and it wouldn't be something I'd have detail in front of me right now anyway.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Campbell, you wish to speak to the motion?
No.
Any discussion for Councillor Henry?
I just wanted to point out that there's a process in place for a very good reason. In briefing, we have a myriad of ideas and we propose things and we mix them around, and sometimes they never see the light of day because they're posturing, and that's how we work through our questions. And I think it would be not beneficial to have the freedom to do so and to extend ourselves intellectually on issues if we had to release everything. I'm a big fan of transparency, but I'm also a big fan of having the freedom to wrestle with these ideas without having the scrutiny, I suppose, of, you know, I don't always ask the smartest questions in briefing. I'm not sure I would like that on the public record. You know, because it's unscripted and also it's unminuted too. So there are things there that we never make decisions. So how possibly could we, in a briefing, ever make the decision to release documents? They're things that have to go through a formal channel, and I think that's only right to do so. I also think that this policy is quite important in that it does show that the public can always seek out information and that they have every right to seek out freedom of information if they want further documentation. And most of the time that's freely available as it should be.
Discussion against? Any further for? Councillor Campbell, anything to close?
Yeah, I'll just reiterate what Helen said. I think sometimes transparency is great, but it can also be taken out of context.
Yeah.
So this policy, it's been had some changes to it, but yeah, I'm all for it.
Councillor Henry, anything to close? Go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.5, CEO Employment and Remuneration Policy and Charter Review. Director Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, before you is the policy for adoption. The Local Government Act requires Council to adopt the Chief Executive Employment and Remuneration Policy. Council resolved to establish the CEO Employment and Remuneration Advisory Committee on the 13th of March 2019, and the last approved the committee's policy and charter on the 14th of July 21. As per the policy, after council elections, the committee will be formed for a one-year term by council resolution. The committee comprises of the mayor and 2 councillors. The committee operates as an advisory capacity, providing recommendations to council on the CEO performance, CEO key performance indicators, CEO annual performance review, remuneration for the CEO, CEO recruitment, and CEO contractual matters. The policy and charter have been reviewed, and the following changes include reference to councils directing questions relating to policy and the committee operations directly to the chair, in this case is the mayor, The Mayor will respond within a reasonable timeframe. More explicit explanation of roles, including the Manager of People and Culture to provide a secretary service to the committee. However, the charter that is attached has no changes in this particular instance. Councillor, the recommendation is before you for your consideration.
Mover. Councillor Henry.
Sure, I move that the council adopt the CEO Employment and Remuneration Committee Policy and Charter.
Seconder. Councillor Barber. Any questions of Director Barber? Sorry, Councillor Calvano.
It's just, the committee's comprised of the Mayor and 2 councillors. Why cannot the KPIs of the CEO, etc., be the whole of council? I'm just asking the question whether it can be the whole of council or not. Maybe it can be at a later date. A motion's going to be put. I don't know.
Councillor, thank you for your question.
Thank you.
Firstly, it was resolved
Yeah,
that is going to be the makeup of the committee back when we put at the stat meeting. So that firstly is what council resolved to do. Bearing in mind, we have an independent who assists in that process and liaises with all councillors to ensure that you can have input, and then it goes back to the committee to be able to then analyse that and bring recommendations back to council. So there's certainly input from all councillors into all aspects of the CEO performance.
Any further questions? Councillor Henry, you wish to speak to the motion?
Sure. This is an important committee, obviously, but I think this policy just seeks to tighten up how we communicate between council, committee and CEO, and the timelines and the roles are tightened up with some secretarial support. So I think it just adds to the efficiency of making sure that we, doing things in a timely and well organised manner.
Discussion for. Discussion against. Councillor Henry, anything to close? Councillor Barber, anything to close?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Go to the vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 12.6, Audit and Risk Committee meeting minutes, 2nd June 2025. Director Barber.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. The minutes for the 2nd of June meeting, as endorsed by the Audit and Risk Committee, are presented to Council for adoption. Under Section 53 of the Local Government Act 2020, the Council must establish an Audit and Risk Committee as an advisory committee of Council. The committee fulfils both a statutory and consultative function. It provides feedback, advice and direction to Council on both risk, financial matters in accordance with the committee charter. The key items that were discussed at the June 2 meeting was the CEO report update, the Audit and Risk Committee self-assessment, Audit and Risk Committee Chair report, the biannual December 2024 report, the financial report for March 2025, quarterly councillor expenditure report, draft budget and long-term financial plan, progress report on internal audit actions, compliance framework review and quarterly compliance reporting, the OH&S and risk management quarterly reports, external audit progress on current actions, and finally the annual VARGO audit strategy. Council, the recommendation is before you for your consideration.
So I'm smiling because it's riveting reading.
I'll move it as written, the motion. I'll move the recommendation for a motion as written, Mr Mayor.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Councillor Calvano. Second to Councillor Rainsford. Questions to Director Barber? Councillor Calvano, you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Any discussion for? Councillor Henry.
Thanks. I just wanted to talk about this. One of the things that we actually did talk about at Audit and Risk within these 2 meetings, and you can see the extensive amount that this committee does discuss, everything from our OH&S to looking at our budget, and these are amazing human beings that offer great insight under the leadership of Brian Densley, and we also have an internal audit system and an external audit system that seeks to have all eyes on risk and potential risk. So I think this should offer, this committee should offer the community a great deal of security and confidence in the organisation. But we did talk about the 3 major projects, and we did talk about the the risk factors associated with 3 big capital works projects. And the Audit and Risk Committee gave their wholehearted endorsement of those, and actually I was the one that was like, but what if? And they were the ones talking to me about how they saw the importance of these projects, and that the importance far outweighed the risk. So I just wanted to point that out. Thanks.
Discussion against? Just go straight to a vote. Those in favour? Carried. Item 13, there's no notices of motion. 14, there's no urgent business. Item 15, Mayor, Councillors and Delegate reports. Councillor Rainsford.
Look, I have done a written report which I'll go through pretty quickly. I'll try anyway. I might start with the end first, which is most important. That on Tuesday the 8th of July I attended an excellent Cavendish Lions Club changeover dinner, and it was catered admirably by the Bridge Cafe, and visitors came from Dunkirk and Penshurst Lions Clubs, and new members welcomed alongside new community members, and encouraged people to get involved with their local Lions Clubs. Also on advocacy, I was approached by the Cavendish Referee Reserve committee people, and because I've been going to GWM Water meetings, stakeholder meeting groups for years, I've always had a fascination and passion for water. Wish I could get more underground water in places, but they're very much interested in tapping into the Wanneroo line, which is the Rocklands line that comes through from Rocklands through to the Hamilton supply with about 2 gigalitres that is used for our local supply, and that's managed by Wanneroo Water. I've spoken with the General Manager of GWM Water, and I met him out at Warma on Saturday, so I actually had another chat to him, and apparently I think that the community are working in hand with that. And at our drought forums, it was also raised about the West Wimmera pipeline, and I'm looking forward to what could be done with some of that state funding about water security and things, so we need to look at that. So other than that, I went to the Hamilton Gallery exhibition opening with Emma Stewart's amazing, brilliant work and her reinterpretation of Chevalier's landscape with multiple panels. It was well attended and well worth a visit. Went to a lot of councillors went to the Adventure Playground, Lakes Edge, Hamilton, All Abilities Play Equipment opening, and that was just amazing. And the volunteer groups of Better Together that funded and had inspired that project with the support of council was excellent. The new residence function for at the Hamilton Library, which was great. Lots of community groups went there to help support the event and encourage people to be involved. The Farmers Drought Forum at Melville Oval, the pavilion's amazing space for those sorts of things. And look, the annual Local Government Association Conference, the National General Assembly, it didn't cost $15,000, it cost about $3,300. And it cost me $44 return on a senior ticket to get by public transport to Melbourne and back. So I do try and save money where I can. We went to the National Arboretum. Thanks, Mo, for that. It was fantastic. Jane went too. We lobbied the Federal Agriculture Minister about droughts. We toured the gallery, attended the presentations. A big highlight was about emergency management and drought and sustainable funding for local government. And I also participated in a Teams meeting with the Municipal Emergency Management crew who do an amazing job locally while I was in Canberra, and attended the Combined Progress Association dinner, and participated in the Thompson Memorial Swimming Pool meeting, and went to the Council Facilitator Workshop. And Warma, the Wilderness Art Museum of Australia, well worth a visit, nestled in the foothills of the Grampians. 16 hectares of donated land, a $14 million budget, $7 million from the state, $7 million philanthropy and locally fundraising. It's a great spot with a sculpture trail, large exhibition space, lecture presentation area, cafe bar. And if you don't believe in climate change, go along and have a look at that presentation and display. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Barber.
Mr Mayor. Yes, I'll go through mine in no particular order. On Monday, I went to the NAIDOC Work smoking ceremony out at the Hammond Street facility, which was fantastic. It was very well attended, reportedly a lot warmer, a lot more comfortable than last year. It was apparently freezing last year. Fantastic dancers from down at Haywood. It was just really good to see all the community come out together. It was really fantastic turnout. They turned out a fantastic morning tea, or afternoon tea I should say, and it was just really good to see so many people. It was really, really heartwarming. Attended the Passport to Employment graduation lunch, which was at Hurl, which is an interesting program. It helps kids that have got learning difficulties from various schools around the area gain certain skills to get employment, and it's a program that runs over about 8 weeks, I believe, and it just you just see the confidence change from when they start to the end, to the point where at the end of even go out and they go with $100 and go out to clothes shops and buy themselves interview-ready clothes, which they all wore on the day. And they had 3 waiters there from 2 previous years that were young fellas, actually it might have been 4, sorry. There were young fellas there that had done the course before, and they came to the lunch in the clothes that they'd bought for their interviews all those years, a couple of years ago, and all with ties on, and walking around offering us orange juice, and it was really good. That was great. It was really good to see the confidence on the kids. They even did a little speech at the end, and that was really good. Also went to the Combined Progress Association dinner, Councillor Rainford as well. That was a fantastic night. It's really good to get all those little communities together, and I've commented on the night, they don't realise how much they actually do in these small communities until they all get up and they talk to you about what they've done in the last 12 to 18 months. And it's amazing. These little communities, these little progress associations, they do so much, and we've just got to continue to support our local towns. They're all of the Shire, they're all one, so it was fantastic. It was a really good evening. Went to the Hamilton Rotary changeover dinner, which was a fantastic evening. Very well run, great meals. That was really good. Caught up with a lot of old faces because I used to cater for them back in the day, so that was an interesting few chats there. Also went to the All Abilities Playground opening at Lakes Edge, and that was fantastic fundraising from that crew. That was just unreal that they got that, and that playground equipment's pretty amazing. Thank you to the Shire for putting up the extra to get the playground equipment put into the playground itself. It was a horrendously cold day.
It's the first one.
It was about a wind chill factor of -10 off the lake, and I thought I might put a motion in later down the track that we actually turned the new lights around the lake into actual heaters as well. But the amount of people there was cool. It was great. There was heaps of people there still, but it was really cold. And also went to the new residents function. Sort of had a couple of hats on, councillor hat, and as a employer of our able, also represented there with some of the things that we can offer. But that was quite an eye opener. I think I actually might have said to the CEO on the night, or might have been Director Barber, that the new residents all had a sticker on them with their name on them, and I didn't realise how many new residents there were in this town. There was lots of stickered people, and I thought, wow, all those people have come to our region, and just had a couple of chats to people. It was really great. Yeah, so thank you.
Councillor Henry.
Oh, I'll be quick. Lots of the things have already been spoken about, and I did go away and do some walking in the desert. But I want to congratulate the community group that raised the money for All Abilities Playground. And I did spend some time with the Viaduct Rec Reserve, and they're such an amazing group, but I do get really present to when I go and do things with community groups. It's never the only community group they're on, and so I concur that our volunteers are quite extraordinary in Southern Grampians.
Councillor Camp.
I'll be quick. Yeah, I have been away, have came back. Wanted to do a shout out to the works crew led by Trevor Haley especially. Speaking to the Branksholme Progress Committee, they've had a few issues over the years and felt as though things haven't been done around that small, great, lovely community. And I was able to speak to David Togger last week. I said, "Oh, are those things being done?" He goes, "Mate, how proactive is that Trevor Haley?" So I just wanted to say thanks, Trevor, and they've got everything, or the projects that they asked for, tick in the box, so that's very good. Usually David's not that positive, so I was actually quite happy to get that. And Saturday I went to the local footy club, Branksholme. They had a great win. They've got to keep winning to try and get into finals, but they're looking good. But it was a sponsors day. Sponsors day, fantastic. I just wanted to shout out to all the obviously local community people that normally the ones putting their hands in their pocket, not only for Branksholme, but just all the small towns around us that are always shelling out, even though times are tough, they're putting their hands in their pocket for the local sporting communities. So, yeah, hopefully Branksholme can keep winning too. Cheers.
Councillor Calvano.
Yep. On Tuesday the 10th on Monday the 16th of June, I had the pleasure of attending the Hamilton Stitfords to support my grandson, who was awarded the first place in the under 9 years and under poetry recital first. He also received an honourable mention for his dancing, competing amongst a large and talented field of participants. The organisers of the Hamilton and Stitfords should be commended. Upon arrival, my wife and I were greeted with friendly faces and made us feel welcome. It was very efficiently and professionally ran. Our Hamilton and Stitford brings so many people from far and wide to our local town. I encourage residents of our community that haven't been to these Stitfords to actually go out there, and I assure you all that you won't be disappointed. On Saturday the 14th of June, despite the inclement weather, I attended the official opening of the Lake Hamilton Adventure Playground. The event featured family entertainment, etc., face painting, etc., and it was well attended by members of the community. This inclusive playground has been thoughtfully designed to cater for individuals of all abilities, promoting participation and connection for everyone. Mr. Mayor, I extend my sincere thanks to the Better Together, which they had fundraised for the event, and dedication that bring this important project to our town, our town of Hamilton. On the evening of the 16th of June, I attended the residence function at the Southern Grampians Shire Library in Hamilton. It was a wonderful opportunity to welcome new members to our community and reconnect to it for a long period of time with other people there. It was a great event. And on Wednesday the 2nd of July, I also had the opportunity to actually go, and with other councillors, to a professional development session at Melville Oval, where we just finished building. Great job. Where the guest speaker, Jenny Cicluna, delivered a valuable and interesting presentation to the councillors that attended. And you were there, Mr. Mayor. So I want to thank you very much for all the councillors that were there. Great. And that's about it.
Thank you. Councillor Manning.
On the 13th of June, I attended the Glen Thompson Rec Reserve for a beer and burger night for local farmers, and I thank very much Ian Murray and his team who put that on. About 70 people turned up, and it was a great social occasion to get people off farms and having a bit of socialisation. On the 17th of June, I attended the Farmers Forum with the Council at Melville Oval. From the 23rd to the 27th of June, I attended the Australian Local Government Association conference in Canberra with Councillors Rumford and Mayor Heslin and our CEO and Director Scanlon, which was really great. A couple of the speakers that stood out to me, we heard from Bernard Salt from the Demographics Group, who spoke of the world reaching estimated peak humanity in the year 2060 with about 10 billion people. And his message was that Australia can position itself to feed the world by increasing their agribusiness by about 25 to 40%. which I thought was interesting, and something relevant to our region. Also, I really enjoyed the talk by Australia's Governor-General, the Honourable Sam Moyston, who spoke of the importance of kindness and leading with kindness, and spoke of her experiences of travelling to communities all around Australia and how we need to work hard to get every person who can vote to understand democracy and that they have a role in democracy and each level of government and how it works and how they can be involved and how they can contribute. And that's something I'd love to follow up over the next 3 years here. We also advocated for our community at a federal level, including pushing for drought recognition and seeking support for intergenerational projects. And we caught up with our local federal member, the Honourable Dan Tehan at Parliament House. Thank you, Dan. Also visits the National Gallery and the Arboretum, and very valuable to catch up with and meet other councillors from around Victoria and the world and Australia. Wow, it was great. And listen to their priorities and things we shared and things we didn't share, and listen to how motions were debated, and it was really great. Recently, I have been following updates on treaty in Victoria, and I have contacted the Minister for Truth and Treaty of Victoria to seek more information that's coming out. So it's something I'm passionate about, to make sure that we can get information out as it comes. I know that there's a bit of concern in the community about what treaty means and what it will bring. It's currently being negotiated, and I'm really about getting information out so that we've all got the right facts to understand what's happening. So I've been doing a bit of work around that. And yeah, and then school holidays and lambing, so that's about it for me.
Thank you. Firstly, thank you to Councillor Barber for filling in on a few occasions whilst we were up in Canberra. Over and above a lot of things already mentioned, I was invited to Waltana Foods by James Nagorka and his family. They released a book called Wheel Tracks, which is a long history of tractor tread innovation, their connection with John Deere over many years in the States, and so that was a great day. And also Saturday just gone, Penshurst Football Club had their Indigenous round, came complete with smoking ceremony and about a 16-goal win. I'll provide a written report for the minutes of everything that happened over the last month. Item 16, there's no confidential reports, and I declare the meeting closed at 7:12.
Spot on, Helen.
Did you say 7:12?
Well, spot on, Helen.